The wind rolled gently across the wide fields of corn and wheat, carrying the faint smell of earth and grass. Out here, life moved slow, steady, almost hidden from the chaos of the world, and that's exactly how Emily Carter liked it. She was the quiet farm girl everyone knew but few really understood. She worked dawn till dusk, tending to animals, fixing fences, hauling hay bales twice her size. Her neighbors described her as sweet, soft-spoken, the kind of woman who'd give you a glass of cold water and a smile without asking for anything in return. But small towns have their shadows, and Emily's kindness had made her a target. It started with whispers, then little taunts at the feed store. A group of locals, bored, bitter, desperate for power in a place where nothing ever happened, decided she was an easy mark. They called her Mouse, mocked her quiet voice, laughed when she walked by with her head lowered. On that warm Friday evening, the cruelty crossed a line. She had been out by the old oak tree on the edge of her family's land when they surrounded her. A gang of young men, faces she recognized, boys who had once eaten her mother's pie at county fairs, shoved her back against the bark. Their laughter echoed as they tied her wrists with rough rope, pinning her to the tree. "Where's your big mouth now, farm mouse?" One sneered, "She won't tell nobody." Another chuckled, "Ain't nobody coming for her." Emily's chest trembled. She wasn't afraid of work, of storms, of loneliness. But this humiliation cut deeper than any blade. They thought she was weak, helpless, alone, but she wasn't. With her hands bound, she shifted just enough to press the speed dial on the old flip phone she always carried in her pocket. It rang once, then twice, then connected. She didn't need to speak. Whoever was on the other end would understand. Miles away, in a nondescript military facility, Captain Jack Carter looked down at the glowing screen. His wife's number. No words, no sound. Just the silence he knew all too well. And instantly his world narrowed. Delta Force operators aren't trained to hesitate. Within an hour, the dust from a black SUV kicked up the quiet road leading to the Carter farm. The bullies were still there, laughing, tossing rocks at the ground near her boots. They didn't notice the headlights until the engine cut and the door slammed shut. A tall figure stepped into the twilight. Broad shoulders, calm eyes, the kind of presence that silences a room without a word. Even in, Jack said, voice steady as steel. The boys laughed nervously. One muttered, "Who's this? Her daddy?" Jack walked closer, his boots crunching gravel. No, her husband. What happened next wasn't rage, it was precision. Jack didn't throw wild punches. He moved like water, like the storm you never see coming. In seconds, the ringleader was on the ground. Another was pinned against the tree, and the rest were running, tripping over themselves in blind panic. When it was over, Jack untied the ropes with careful hands. He didn't say a word until Emily was free. She collapsed into his chest, not out of weakness, but out of release. The weight she had carried for so long, the loneliness, the quiet suffering, poured out in tears. Jack held her close, whispering, "Nobody hurts you. Not while I'm breathing." But here's the twist. The next morning, when the dust settled and the town whispered about what had happened, one of the boys, barely more than a kid, came back to the farm. Emily stood on the porch wary, but Jack let him speak. "I'm sorry," the boy said, eyes down. I didn't know you had someone like him. I thought you were alone. His voice broke. "I didn't realize how cruel we were. Nobody deserves that." Emily didn't excuse him, but she didn't slam the door either. She saw not just a bully, but a boy who had never been taught compassion. So instead of anger, she said quietly, "Kindness doesn't need a reason, but it can change everything." That boy would later tell people it was the first time someone looked at him not with hate, but with hope, and it shifted something inside him. Because the truth was, Emily's strength wasn't her husband's fists or his title. It was her heart, a heart that chose forgiveness when bitterness would have been easier. In the end, the small town learned a lesson that stuck. The quietest souls often carry the strongest stories. And sometimes the bravest thing you can do is not fight fire with fire, but choose to heal the wound instead. Emily Carter remained the quiet farm girl, but never again was she underestimated. Not because of her Delta Force husband, but because of the undeniable power of grace. And so, Emily's story reminds us of something simple, yet powerful. We never really know the battles someone is carrying. Sometimes the quietest people, the ones we overlook or underestimate, hold a strength that can move mountains. Cruelty and hate are easy. They spread like wildfire, but kindness, true kindness, can break cycles, change hearts, and rewrite lives. That night, a group of bullies thought they had tied a helpless girl to a tree. What they didn't realize is that they had tied themselves to a lesson, one that would echo through the town for years to come. So if you ever feel small, unseen, or powerless, remember Emily Carter, the quiet farm girl who showed the world that kindness is never weakness. It is, and always will be, the greatest strength of all.